strangers. Okay, so it's Abuse Awareness Month, so that's pretty exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about women's shelters and my experience with them. Now, this is not all women's shelters. This is just specifically my experience with them. Anytime I was able to get out of the house, get away from my abusive partner, and I would call these women's shelters, and they would always be full. And then the one time that they had an opening, it was like for 24 hours. So it wasn't really a good fix for me. And they don't offer the proper services on the mass scale that they should. And the services they do offer don't extend to the middle class, which would be me right here. So I did apply for daycare assistance, and I got declined because I made too much money. And it wasn't by much, and they didn't take into account that I was also paying for the father of my children too. They were only taking account to that I make enough money for me, plus one child, barely. So they didn't really help me much. And also, they were never available. They did give me free counseling group classes, and I did go once, and I was sexually harassed by a individual there who was basically there to meet someone they could abuse. And when I confronted the teacher and I told them, they basically just said they couldn't do anything about it because that person had been coming there for years. So they've been preying on people in that group for years. Again, this is not all women's shelters, it's just the ones in my area. They're always full. The groups are not safest. And they don't really help people like me in my situation. And again, this is like, the fact that I owned a home was the hardest part, because that counted as my equity, and because I owned that and because he was residing there, I couldn't kick him out without a 30-day notice, and 30 days is a long time to be stuck with a manipulative person that pulls and pushes you away continuously, sometimes at the same time. So it was just a rough situation, and I didn't have good experiences with women's shelters, and that's not unusual. And I'm going to actually just read a couple comments that really stood out to me. So this first comment that I'm going to read is from Amina Jones, and she says, a self-respecting, loving mother, do just get up and leave. There is too much help for women like herself. I should know. I work at a women's and children's shelter, where we also provide moving expenses to anywhere in the USA, in rare cases other countries, safe houses. In some cases we help pay for legal fees, and we work around the clock with authorities to ensure the safety of our residents. However, most 90% go right back because they are weak, as we all are, or have been in some aspects of our life. However, we can't expect to live better existence without first acknowledging the problem, which is in her case, weakness. I bet you she will either end up with him again, or with a man just like him. Getting out does not take a long time. Learning how to stay out is what takes a long time. So, first off, that was a very sweet, thoughtful way of basically saying that I'm the problem, and that I'm a weak person. So that was a very nice way of putting that. Secondly, those resources are awesome. So next time when you comment those, maybe you should leave a reference, because if you would put those references on those, I would have those linked to my channel, because those are amazing, amazing resources that we'd love to utilize. So next time, put those references on there so I can see where, and link those, because I didn't have those where I was from. So maybe it's your country or your state, I don't know. But next time, put those on there, because those would be great, 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 great. And then, secondly, 90% of the women that return back usually return to their partner because they don't really have a choice. And that's not a weakness in the person, that's a weakness in the system. Like, we have this idea that we have to take the person that's being abused and take them out of the situation and just place them somewhere else. What are they going to do over here? How are they going to fend for themselves? How are they going to feed themselves? How are they going to take care of their kids? How are they going to do any of that stuff? Like, just uprooting them doesn't really do anything for them once they're out here. And women's shelters are only a temporary fix. So of course 90% go back, because you help them for just a short period of time and then say good luck to you. They don't really have a choice, and that's not a weakness in the person, that's a weakness in the system. Because when they don't have anyone else to rely on or turn to, of course they're going to go back. And I'm going to read another comment before I get too heated. Okay. This is another one from somebody who claims to work at a shelter. This is from a Jess Cavalier, however you say that. First off, I can't believe what I've watched on this channel. Let me tell you something. I have been volunteering at Aston's House for 2 years. Not sure if I said that right. ASTON House. For 2 years. It's a shelter for abused women and children, and none of the women I've spoken to would ever put their escape plan all over the internet. Maybe they should. I showed some of the women these videos and they all say the same thing. No one is going to post this online, and the ones that need the most help is the child. My sister works for Children's Services, and I'm telling you right now, once I find out your information, and I will, believe me, there's going to be calls, and lots of them, to Children's Services. You must be mentally unwell to put your kids through this. It has sickened and outraged everyone I have shown these videos to. I will get help for your kids, I promise you that. So if anyone wants to help us, if you have any information, blah, 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 contact them. P.S. Yes, I know she's away from him, if that's even true. Point is, this woman isn't well until I know 100% that the kids are safe and are not being mentally abused. I won't stop. Thank you. So that's from someone that works at a women's shelter. They say they do. I'm not familiar with Aston House or even know where that is, but that's someone that is supposed to help people get out of these situations. And not only are they victim blaming, but they're threatening as well. And that is just plain intimidation. Like, okay, how awful is that? Like, if we can't even trust going to women's shelters and being met with support and help and encouragement and praise for the steps we're taking to leave, of course the women are going to go back. Like, if we can't even turn to the people that are supposed to help us, then how are we supposed to feel safe to leave or tell people what we're going through? And it's not just trolling comments below. Like, this is an actual thing. Like, women that escape their abusive partners, go into a shelter, leave, or end up basically being homeless for a while, get their children taken away because they don't have the proper support, the proper help, and then they lose the one thing that they have left to live for. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what kind of system do we have that we end up losing our kids because we're trying to escape a bad situation? No wonder women are too scared to come out and tell people that they are being abused. No wonder that no one wants to talk about it. No wonder that they sit there in their abusive home and just tolerate it, because when they try to tell people, the fingers get pointed at them, and they're the ones that get just blamed for it all. And it's not our fault. We didn't choose this life. It's not because we're weak. It's because we got stuck in a bad situation and we didn't have help to escape, and we were shunned for even talking about it. So it's like, it is so frustrating to sit at home and not being able to sing in the shower without getting accused of cheating, to want to go out to dinner but not be allowed to not have friends that they can talk about it with, to not be able to go up to family and tell them what's going on without having everyone else's back turned against you. Like, there's no weakness here. It's a flaw. And it's not a flaw in the people per se, it's a flaw in the system. Because just because you're getting abused doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're asking for it or you're an enabler. No, it means that those people are so powerful and so manipulative that you can't escape. You know how many times I called 911 and they're just like, well, he lives here. Tough luck. And it's like, no, he doesn't live here. I never gave him permission to put my address on his ID card. That never happened. So it's not like I allowed it to happen. It's just that it did happen, and it was awful. And I was stuck there because that was my home. He knew where I worked. He knew where I would go to escape him. He knew where I lived. He knew every single person I'd ever talked to. Like, there was literally no place I could go. And that's not a weakness in me. That's a weakness in the system. Like, we need help. We need women's shelters that aren't full all the time. We need places that we can go to get help once we're actually out. We need how to build resumes, how to live a life without that person. We need support and people to listen. And it's just, you don't get that. And that's the flaw. That's the flaw in the system. And not to mention, there are so many men that comment on my channel saying that women deserve to be beaten and deserve to be treated like that. And every woman is a piece of scum and deserves this. So it's not just me or a few other people. Like, this is ridiculously common. I found out once people learned about my situation, how many of them were actually in the same situation. Like, it's so suppressed that there are so many people that you have no idea are being beaten at home and being downgraded and just treated like dirt. And you have no idea because they're too scared to tell you, because they're too scared of all the negative criticism towards them. So, I'm extending this too long. So basically, the goal is to stop trying to quiet everyone and keeping their stories hidden. It needs to come out. People need to tell their stories. You need to have a big Me Too movement on abuse. And we need to share how we got out. We need to support other people who have gotten out. My goal in the future is to take in someone who is in this situation and bring them into my home and give them a fresh start. And I'm not talking a women's shelter kind of fresh start. I'm talking I'm going to take you in and I'm going to take care of you until you can do it on your own. Because if you don't have anyone else to do that, I want to do that. And then you're going to do it for somebody else, and they're going to do it for somebody else, and it's going to be a change. And, you know, like, why do we have this idea that we have to take the person that's being abused out of the situation? We should take the person that's being abusive and get them out of the situation. But restraining orders don't do that. Like, it just gives the person a little feeling of power, but it doesn't really protect them. It more puts a big target on their back and makes the person that's being abusive angry. And we need to be able to change this. Like, I wish there was an easier way to help people. And, you know, leave comments below on your ideas on how we can change this system to help better support women, to better support getting out, to reduce negativity and victim shaming, and increase support and help and love. Talk to you next time.